about Pilates and osteoporosis. So thank you so much for asking this question. This is what we do here on Sundays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We come live answering the questions you've left us in the comments. If you're an OPC member, we answer your questions in our community every single day, including giving you feedback on your form. And so sometimes that is actually the best, actually all the time, so that is the best way to get an answer to your question because all of our bodies are so different. So I love this question that came through about Pilates and osteoporosis because the person quoted me as saying it's always Pilates and never Pilates versus. And typically when I say it's always Pilates and never Pilates versus, I am meaning like Pilates versus weightlifting or Pilates versus running or Pilates versus yoga, right? But it is Pilates and it is Pilates and osteoporosis. They do work together. I'm going to talk about how they can work together and then like also best practices if you have osteoporosis. But before I get into that, I just want to say, if you haven't liked and subscribed to this channel, I would love for you to do that. Just hit the notifications button so you don't miss our lives. And also, if you live in the States, I would love to see you on our winter tour. We're going to be driving through so many states. It's our biggest tour ever with 22 cities and 34 days. So go to opc.me/tour to grab your tickets. So many cities have sold out already, but I would love to see you. We'll be bringing the dog. We'll bring in the 𝐂𝐁𝐒 equipment. It's going to be a lot of fun. This tour is powered by Balanced Body. Okay, so in my career as a teacher of teaching Pilates since 2008, I have taught many a client with osteoporosis. In fact, unfortunately, we live in a world where many, many people will end up with osteoporosis, and it shouldn't be like here's all the limitations you have. In fact, just to like Google just for like contraindications for osteoporosis, just to make sure I didn't miss any. The reality is like you can't do like it would seem like you can't do anything. And as someone who has food allergies, it can feel like I can't eat anything when really we have to focus on what we can do, what we can eat, right? In that analogy. So if you have osteoporosis or you're teaching someone who does, what I highly recommend you do is actually focus on what is possible in their bodies. And then you'll see that there's a whole bunch of Pilates exercises that one can do. But here's the thing. There is a lot that cannot be done. And that is where I would strongly caution if you are someone with osteoporosis or you're teaching someone who does, to watch out for putting them in big group classes. Unless the group class is tailored to people with back issues or people with osteoporosis, of course, then go, absolutely. But if it is a class that's taught to the general public, unless you, the person with osteoporosis, has great knowledge and nuanced knowledge in what you are allowed to do and what your substitution should be, I would encourage you to be in one-on-one or maybe two people at most situations. You'll still need to know your exercises. And here's why. If you have osteoporosis, you're encouraged not to round forward a lot. Well, Pilates has 5 spine shapes, and one of those is rounding. The other thing you're also needing to watch is the twisting. You can twist, but you have to be mindful of how fast you twist, the dynamics of that. And so now that's 2 spine shapes, right? So then there's, we have side bending, extension, and tall back. Obviously extension, tall back, those are gonna be really great for you. Side bending, I would definitely be mindful of how you're doing that. But when you start to put limitations on spine shapes, that is where group classes can be tricky unless the client, or if it's you, as the client, has advanced knowledge on what you should be replacing with. So for example, at OPC, we actually do have people who have fusions in their back, who have stenosis, but they know in place of this exercise, I do this one. And if you can do that, if you can remember that, then by all means, go ahead and do it. But if you can't, if that's something that's difficult for you, then I highly encourage you to be in one-on-one situations or in classes that are specific for people with osteoporosis that take in those considerations, right? Because you have to make sure you don't fall. You do need to make sure you're not jumping around. Like the dynamic fast classes are going to be a little bit precarious for someone with osteoporosis. So let's talk about why Pilates can be great for someone with osteoporosis. First of all, it is low impact. All right, so that is really, really awesome, especially when you're talking about the Cadillac or the Reformer mat exercises on when they're tall back or extension focused. Those are low impact exercises, which are going to be so awesome for their bodies, but challenge the strength of their muscles, which is really, really great, right? The Reformer can be quite supportive. Where Pilates one-on-one is really great for them is that it can be very tailored by removing the exercises that are not right for them, giving the exercise they need, but then challenging them to take on other exercises that are in the repertoire that are going to be a little bit more advanced for their body. We can work on their balance. We can work on asymmetries. It can be extremely beneficial. In fact, we start to strengthen the muscles that support the spine, which can really help alleviate any other issues that can come up because they have osteoporosis. That being said, Pilates would need the rhythm at which it is done would need to change for people with osteoporosis because, again, quick dynamic movements are not always ideal for an osteoporosis person. That all being said, every single person is a different body, and it's important that the person with osteoporosis has clearance from their doctor about what they can and cannot do, and also that information is given to the teachers. There are Pilates instructors out there who have tons of education when it comes to osteoporosis. And I highly encourage, if this is a route as a teacher you want to go, or if you're a client, you want to know more, I encourage you to really dive in and learn from those people. Buff Bones is a type of Pilates that's out there. I wouldn't call it a type of Pilates. It's because they don't just do Pilates, but Buff Bones specifically has information when it comes to osteoporosis and other things that can ail us as we get older when it comes to our bones. So if this is an interest to you, I recommend going and checking out Rebecca Rotstein's Buff Bones, okay? And also you'll see a list of people who've been trained by her that can teach you, and they have classes. So that's where I would send you if one-on-one sessions is not an ideal option for you. And whether or not you have osteoporosis, you ever meet someone that does, the important thing to know is that Pilates is for everybody. It is Pilates and any of these things. However, we do have to understand that if we do have something going on with our body that does give us a bunch of contraindications, we need to take on that and understand what our body is allowed to do and what it's not allowed to do. And I think that ownership is really, really key, and it can help you find a teacher in Pilates or in any other workout regimen that can truly support you, because if they don't listen to you or they're unwilling to listen to you, it's not the right safe space for you, right? If they're not able to give you modifications or substitutions in place of an exercise that you can then remember for yourself and take ownership on, it might not be the right space for you. And if they also say like, hey, this level of class does move at a pace that is unsafe for your condition, it is them being honest with you. Hopefully they have other classes that they would suggest you go to, or other teachers, because I think that is the most important thing. It is impossible for every instructor to be an expert on every condition that's out there. It's just not possible, right? But they can be aware of who is an expert in the area of what you need. And that is where it can be really cool and really awesome for the community, because then we all win. So I hope this is super, super helpful. If you have questions, feel free to ask. If you are someone with osteoporosis who's wanting to do Pilates at home, I highly recommend a really awesome mat. You don't want to be able to fill your floor. You're going to want some props. And then I would definitely take a look at OPC. We've got a workshop on modifications for the back on the mat with Lori Watson. She is the queen of modifications. We also have Rachel Piper, who's got an incredible workshop about props. And when you have osteoporosis or other conditions like that, you're going to need to educate yourself, and you're going to need some assistance to help your body do these things that it might not have the ability to do yet, or so you can replace exercises you can't do yet with ones that are better for your body. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to try out OPC, you can learn from Rachel there. She teaches for us, and Lori Watson is a member. Go to onlinepilatesclasses.com/YouTube. Thank you so much, and have an amazing day.